Hello everyone, welcome back. Thank you so much for joining me. So today we are doing our reaction videos to things you have tagged me in on TikTok, Instagram. That's pretty much it, isn't it? TikTok, you can find me at Robert Welsh MUA. Yep, and Instagram at Robert WLSH. So tag me, at me, send me messages with things in. Let me know. Anyway, for those of you who are new here, my name is Robert Welsh. I'm a professional makeup artist here on YouTube and also in real life, and it's my goal to help you become a pro yourself or just someone who's really good at makeup. So if that sounds like something you are interested in, then do please consider subscribing. As I always like to say throughout these reaction videos, creativity and individuality have no rules, but makeup most definitely has a theory, and these videos are kind of there to debunk some of the things we see, hacks and tips online that actually don't work and kind of just more there to go viral and work in the social media space. Let's start on TikTok and let's see what you have been tagging me in. Let's go.
Whoa. I have no words. Let's try it. Foundation into the water. This feels so wrong. Okay, so now it's in my hand. We're just gonna take some dots onto the face using a beauty blender to press it in. It looks really beautiful, but the real test is the transfer. Clean paper towel on both sides, and we're just gonna press it onto the skin. Okay, moment of truth. Okay, not bad. So I am still at a loss for words. Try it.
I don't see why you would try it. So, okay, so here's the deal with putting your foundation in water and then applying it. What does that do to your foundation? Absolutely nothing. If foundation could become waterproof just by mixing it with water, don't you think we would have done that a long time ago? There's no reason for you to put your foundation in water other than maybe watering down a water-based foundation, or I don't know why there would be no other reason. Powder foundation, on the other hand, if you scrape out powder and dampen it slightly, it becomes clay-like and can last a little bit longer. It doesn't do anything, and that transfer on the tissue paper is just a sign of a good foundation. Like a tiny bit's gonna come off, sure, but you don't need to do that. It does absolutely nothing. It does zero anything.
TikTok, I need help. How do I prevent this from happening? I do everything. I have skincare, I have every version of concealer and setting powder, all the tools, and this always happens.
I'm looking at that and thinking setting powder under the eyes. Honestly, if you still crease under the eyes and you're still using setting powder, trust me, just give it a go not setting your under eyes at some point. Hydrate under the eyes well with an eye cream or something that just hydrates just enough but not too much. Let that sink in, let it do what it needs to do. Apply your concealer with your finger so you get that warmth from your skin. Really push it, make it become part of the skin, and then don't set with powder. Give it a few minutes to do whatever. See if it creases up. Then you can smooth it out and then set with a tiny amount of powder on a very small brush. Don't use a sponge, use a fluffy brush so you're not using too much, really fluffy, because that looks like the powder's almost like congealed the product and made it like some kind of like, you know?
You know, I actually don't understand why more people don't use like shadow tones when they're contouring. Like, this is a bronzer tone, right? Like, when it's all blended out, it looks good. Like, this is fine. I get a shade that is a shadow shade on my face, like this kind of cool tone taupe. And I just, like, make a little hole in my face. Just a really light one. I feel like it makes a really big difference. I just blend it out a bit, but add a bit under the nose, under the lip, for shadow. I feel like it does a lot.
Love it. I love it. Yes. Yes to all of that. It's shadow. Contour. Oh, contour is, I always say this, contour, shadow. Yes, basically. I'm not going to dwell too much on that because you know what I'm going to say.
Not to be dramatic, but this makeup hack changed my life. And I hope it does for you too. So when contouring the jaw, we obviously go underneath here, right? To get that super defined jawline, we need to create a type of shadow. So you're gonna go ahead and bring it down right here. When blending, we're also just gonna continue to bring it down like so. And you could see that the shadow kind of just creates this illusion of a way more snatched jawline. Like, are you kidding? I saw this tip from Michaela's page and she actually learned it from Makeup by Mario. So that's how you know this shit is good. Try this next time.
So I was tagged in this one and it says, do you agree with this technique? Absolutely, that's contouring. Here's what I don't like about a lot of contouring you see online is that people leave it as just a line and then that's it. It's like, okay, so that's done. But as I always say, contour and highlight need comparison to have an effect.
What's a scam that's become so normalized that we don't even realize it's a scam anymore?
So if you asked me, say, 5 to 10 years ago, I would have said celebrity fragrances. They were fucking everywhere. That was a scam. But in today's world, and I've been thinking about this for months, it is makeup. The world of makeup is literally just on steroids at the moment, and it will come crashing down. But I just can't believe people are buying into this so much. Like when I was a kid, people had the option of a bit of lippy, bit of blush, bit of foundation, mascara. You were pretty much done. Maybe a bit of eyeliner. Now you're expected to prime your face and contour your face and highlight your face. And the list goes on. And every single goddamn celebrity, you don't even have to be a celebrity, an influencer, every single one of them has their own makeup line. They just pump them out. Pump, 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 pump. And the worst part of it all that I find aggravating is all these celebrities, influencers pumping out makeup kits, etc., etc. Look at my new palette. Look at this. Look at this. You know that 99% of the time it is the same quality as that $2 lipstick you used to fish out of a bargain bin. They just dress it up in fancy packaging. And from a social standpoint, how is it at all helpful or healthy to tell young girls and women that they need more makeup? They need to be buying more product. They need to put more on their face. No, foundation isn't enough. We need to highlight it, contour it, make your face look skinnier. Like, that's not a good message. So yes, in this day and age, makeup, I feel, is the biggest scam.
Okay, I need to go through that point by point because there are some good points in there. Some points that I think were a little bit old-fashioned coming from a man who isn't involved in the makeup world. But some very good points as well. And a lot of it's right, but at the same time, it's right to a degree. So let me just remind myself. Okay, so he starts off with a point of when he was younger, you know, they only had a choice of blush something. Maybe so, but back then there were definitely, I mean, we're talking even 100 years ago, there was a lot more choice in makeup just back then. And then he goes on to say, now you need to contour, you need to do this, you need to do all this. And I always tell the story of the first time somebody asked me to contour their cheeks and use the word contour. And I was like, how do you know about contour? Because it was back then, it was lipstick, blush, mascara, eyeshadow. People were slightly contouring. Yeah, I mean, people did it in the 80s. We did sculpting in the 80s. You know, all this other stuff has been around. It really depended on your knowledge of makeup. Some people had more knowledge, some people didn't. We didn't have the internet, so not a lot of people knew, unless you were in the right crowd of people, unless your parents did it, unless your, I don't know, sister taught you. Something like that, then it really does depend. So makeup, these techniques have been around for hundreds and hundreds of years, thousands of years, hundreds of thousands of years. So, but it is fact that, yes, from somebody who was working as a professional makeup artist doing hundreds of people's makeup a week, that people weren't aware of most techniques we are aware of now. And brands weren't selling, unless they were professional brands, they weren't selling the products to create those techniques in drugstore and something like that. It was mainly just professional brands. Oh, and then he said, now you're expected to prime your face. People have been priming their skin, again, for hundreds of years. So that's just like, you know, a little I'm very into makeup history, so I don't like it when people get that wrong. Anyway, that's like that's redundant. Here's how I feel makeup, and not for everyone, but here's how I feel makeup is now compared to back then. In terms of how people feel about makeup. Makeup used to very much be, and we know this from history, forced onto women. We're talking about lipstick during war times. We're talking about, well, not the Victorians, they weren't allowed to wear makeup, you know, from certain points. It was very much forced onto women, very much expected. It was being like put together was women wearing makeup. It's kind of taken this flip. And even from when I first started in makeup, where makeup is now seen as for its artistry purpose. People create with makeup. People use makeup as their self-care moment in that day. Whether they're just putting on makeup and taking it straight off. People use it to escape. People use it for mental health. People use it to make themselves happy. I know this from messages I receive. I know this from watching people's videos, from watching other YouTubers. And people do collect makeup. Collecting is good for some people. Some people like it. If you're going to use it more, fine, as long as you're not just collecting like hordes of makeup and not using it, not donating it. So I think it's a very male perspective to be like, when they're trying to be like pro, you know, against makeup in the makeup industry and makeup, things like that, that it's, you're expected to do this, you're expected to feel like that. Because there is a group of people now that want to do it for fun. There was literally an incident when I worked at a store in Covent Garden. A guy was on his megaphone outside all the makeup stores, because it's kind of where all the makeup things were, shouting like, you don't have to do it, you don't do this. And I remember this woman came up to me, she must have been in her early 50s, and she said, what is this guy talking about? And she said this quite loudly, and she was like, I wear makeup because I want to do it for fun. What is he talking about? No man is making me wear makeup. And I was like, you're right. And people nearby were like, yeah, what the hell is he talking about? So there are those people too. However, we can't deny that the makeup industry has gone wild and out of control, and everyone is selling everything. And again, from messages I get in my inbox, that, for example, someone be like, I don't know how to contour, I feel useless with makeup. Just because you don't know how to do a contour doesn't mean you don't have to do it. There is no you have to do this. You don't have to do a certain technique to make sure your makeup looks good. So that's where brands are getting you. They're putting out all these products and saying you need to do this. What we need is a brand that's like, here's the basics, here's this. You do not need a contouring something. You don't need this. Is it nice for a brand to sell it? Of course, for those people who want to use it. But just because a brand is selling it, it doesn't mean you need it. Some person might want it. It doesn't mean you need it. And I said this in a TikTok recently, it was about highlighting your face. Did you know like Neanderthal men highlighted their face? You can read all about it in this book. I'll link it below. It's a good book. The celebrity brands have gone out of control. Here's the deal, right? To me, it makes sense for a makeup or beauty influencer to release a brand. Not saying they have to, but when they release a brand, I'm like, sure, they have experience with products, they're releasing a brand. When a makeup artist releases a brand, sure, you know exactly what you're talking about, you're releasing a brand. But these random skincare brands that celebrities are coming out with don't make much sense to me. Alicia Keys' brand, for example, really like, because she's all about her skin. Even her makeup color products are light and they're not too much. That's her thing, you know? That's a brand that she wanted to create and whatever. However, Ellen DeGeneres coming out with a skincare brand doesn't make sense to me. When it comes to quality of product, it is known. Brands shop for products. It can be from the same place, but the same place does have different levels of value, for example, or quality in their products. However, there have absolutely been brands where I use it and I'm like, why are you charging so much for this? I could get this from a drugstore even better, you know? So there is that kind of like, that touchy in between. Yeah, for example, Revolution is a brand for me that just pump out they have everything. They have like supplements now. Why do you have everything? And it worries me about where this comes from. Candles, all this other shit. It's just too much, and it's like, where are you getting this from? It is low quality stuff. Yeah. So highlighting and contouring as well, he mentions it's to make your face look skinnier. It isn't. It's to sculpt what you already have. It doesn't necessarily make your face look skinnier. People do it to widen their face if they want to. Same thing. It's again, it's like it has these two sides of it. People use contour as this artistry thing to create a certain look, to sculpt the eyes, to sculpt the lips. People use it, for example, in cosplay when they're creating a whole new face. And then there are people, again, that feel like they need to do it, that want a skinnier face. So yeah, there is absolutely two sides to it. So to say that makeup is a big scam, I agree and I don't agree. I agree to the point where it's like, yes, there's too much going on, too much of nothing. If people release brands that meant something every few weeks, I wouldn't care. But if it's just like shit, then, you know, it's a little bit dumb. But that to me was you kind of missed the other side of makeup where people rely on it. And not to look good, but as their breakaway from reality, just like any other hobby, like reading or anything like that. Because makeup is considered a vanity thing, I think people miss the point that other people use it more than just to look good. You know, people use it as a form of their self-expression. They use it as a form like they would their hair. They use it as a mental health thing as well. So good points, but also like you could argue both sides.
If your makeup is emphasizing your pores, fine lines, dry patches, acne, allow me to show you how to embed product to de-emphasize texture. Let's go. I want you to try something. Take your hand, take your fist. Now I want you to roll your fist so every part of the knuckle touches the palm. This is the motion that your tools should be doing when you are embedding product into the skin. This can be done with a dense brush, a sponge, or your good old fingers. Take your tool, take your product, press and roll. Take it slow at first just to feel the pressing and rolling motion of working product into the skin. Speed it up later. Embedding product helps to fill in pores and lines, lay down any skin flakes, and surround raised bumps with product. This will greatly decrease texture visibility. Plus, it helps to marry the product with whatever you have on underneath. To me, embedding product is the #1 way to get an airbrushed base. Practice the next time you do your makeup and let me know how it goes. Okay, I love you so much. Okay, bye.
Rachel's so incredible. I just love her content. I think she delivers like great advice in a way that's like educational but also easy to watch. I think she's amazing. So what she describes as embedding your makeup is such a good point. If you've ever watched my videos and I said it has to become part of your makeup or become part of your skin, that's what I mean. But she explains it perfectly with that motion. That's exactly it. Makeup looks so much more real and more skin-like when it is, as she says, embedded into the skin. Great tip. That's such a good idea. That's why I love like dense powder brushes for foundation, because it becomes part of your skin. It's not just sitting on top. It's part of your skin. I don't know how many times I say part of your skin.
Using a bright under eye concealer will not always mean that diminishes the look of dark circles. If you are going in with something super bright and it doesn't have any bit of correction to it, there's no peachy tone, there's no orange mixed in, it's just a brighter shade, you are still going to see a hint of those dark under eyes. I have two Cosas concealers to use as an example. One is 1N and then there's 1.5C. This is 1.5C. You can see it has a little bit of that peach to it, and this is 1N. If I went on top of my under eyes with just 1N, yes, it would brighten, but it would not color correct. So you can do a hair of this 1.5C first and then layer this on top to brighten. But if you go in with just this and you have a lot of darkness on the inner corners of your eyes or anywhere, it's not correcting anything. And yes, the same idea does go for color correcting dark spots or hyperpigmentation or acne scars. You have to color correct it with a neutralizing concealer. You cannot just go in with that brighter shade. It'll stick out like a sore thumb. Let me know if you have some questions.
100% absolute fact. If you go in, I always remember I was shopping for concealer with this girl and I just met her, so I didn't want to be rude. And she was like, and by this time I'd been a makeup artist for many years. And we were looking for concealer. And I just, as a helpful person, I was like, oh, how about, I don't think she knew I was a makeup artist yet, because we, like I said, we only just met. And you might be, why are you shopping together? Long story. Anyway, I was like, oh, how about this shade? And she was like, no, your under eye concealer should always be 2 shades lighter than your face. And at that point I was like, no, it's not. Let me explain. And I spoke about like, you know, having a peachier tone or something a little bit more red under the eye to help neutralize it first. And you can even use a shade that's going to neutralize and brighten at the same time. I don't know where it comes from. Logically, you would think you just whack something on lighter, but if you put something too almost like white or yellow under what we consider a bluey purple tone, you're going to get this like grayish, ashy, weird tone, sometimes green in some cases. And it looks more obvious. It looks like a darker under eye. It's almost like, imagine if you had a bruise and you just tried to cover it up with a bit of concealer. No, you need to color correct. You need to block the color before you do it. So that's a very, very good tip. Very good tip. Okay, let's end it there, shall we? Thank you so much for joining me. Do please consider subscribing. Give this video a thumbs up. You can tag me in anything on Instagram and TikTok, and I will see you very, very soon. Bye.